It began with a single call and turned into 2 centuries of war. Christians marched east, chasing glory, faith, and a city that held the dreams of empires. But in their pursuit, they left a trail of blood, slaughtering thousands in the name of God. Join me as we explore the story of the Crusades. For almost 2 centuries, from 1095 to 1291, Christians and Muslim powers clashed in what we now call the Crusades. 8 campaigns, countless battles, and thousands of lives lost. All for one city, Jerusalem. It was about more than religion. Power, politics, and wealth fueled the fight. Europe's most powerful lords took part. French nobles, German counts, Norman princes, and Flemish knights, all chasing faith, fortune, and glory. Jerusalem was sacred to Christians, Muslims, and Jews, a place where heaven touched earth. What started as a holy war became a fight for land and power, changing Europe, the Middle East, and history. Medieval Europe was chaotic. Feudal lords ruled scattered kingdoms, fighting over land. Most people were poor peasants, bound to the land, facing famine and disease. The Catholic Church dominated the West, controlling kings and commoners. In 1054, the Great Schism split Christianity, dividing Rome and Constantinople. While Christians struggled, the Islamic world thrived, wealthier, unified, and culturally advanced. While much of Christian Europe faced internal struggles and fragmentation, the Islamic world remained culturally advanced and economically prosperous. Stretching from North Africa to Persia, it flourished as a hub of trade, science, and knowledge, though political unity had long faded. The Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad, once the center of Islamic power, had weakened and held little authority beyond the city itself. Egypt was ruled by the Fatimid Caliphate, a Shia dynasty that established a powerful capital in Cairo, turning it into a center of wealth and learning. The Levant, including Syria and Palestine, was contested territory, influenced by both the Seljuk Turks and local Arab rulers. At its height, the Seljuk Empire stretched from Central Asia to parts of the Levant, with its capital in Isfahan. While the sultans claimed vast territories, real power often rested with regional governors and military commanders. Internal rivalries and decentralization gradually weakened the Seljuks, leaving the region vulnerable to future invasions. At the heart stood Jerusalem, home to Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. Muslim for 450 years, it was Islam's third holiest site, and sacred to Christians, the land of Christ's crucifixion. The spark came when Byzantine Emperor Alexios I Komnenos asked the Pope for help. In 1095, at the Council of Clermont, Pope Urban II called Christians to reclaim Jerusalem. Pope Urban II proclaimed to the people,
"All who die on the journey or in battle shall receive immediate remission of sins."
Thousands answered. They stitched red crosses to their clothes. They were now Crusaders. The crowd roared, "Deus vult!" God wills it. The Crusaders came from across Europe, driven by faith and fortune. But their journey was brutal. Along the way, some groups led by Count Emicho of Flonheim massacred Jewish communities in the Rhineland, killing thousands. Others looted Christian villages for supplies. Still, about 50,000 Crusaders crossed into the Byzantine Empire by early 1097. Tensions ran high, but Emperor Alexios I Komnenos offered support. The Crusader leaders swore to return any captured Byzantine lands. Their first target was Nicaea, held by the Seljuk Turks. After fierce fighting in the summer heat, they took the city in 1097. Soon after, they faced a deadly ambush at Dorylaeum, but fought back until reinforcements arrived. Before pushing further, Baldwin of Boulogne captured Edessa, creating the first Crusader state. Then, the Crusaders crossed harsh lands, battling heat, hunger, and raids. Their greatest challenge was Antioch, defended by 30,000 troops under Yagi Sion. The siege lasted 8 months. Starvation drove them to desperation. Just when hope faded, a traitor showed them a secret entrance. After seizing the city, they faced a new threat. Kaboga, Atabeg of Mosul, led a large army from Mosul and Syria. The Crusaders claimed to find the Holy Lance, boosting morale. They launched a final attack and won. Weary but determined, they pushed south through Syria and Palestine, suffering along the way. In 1199, around 15,000 Crusaders reached Jerusalem. The siege lasted 5 weeks. The Crusaders built siege towers and broke the walls. What followed was a massacre. Thousands of Muslims and Jews were killed. Jews were burned alive in synagogues. According to the chronicler, Raymond of Aguilers, he witnessed and wrote, "The streets of Jerusalem ran with blood, rising as high as the knees." With Jerusalem captured, the Crusaders established 4 Crusader states: the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the County of Edessa, the Principality of Antioch, and the County of Tripoli. They ruled over a diverse population of Muslims, Christians, and Jews. However, these new states were surrounded by Muslim powers. Tensions remained, and the Muslim world slowly began to regroup. In 1144, the Muslim leader Imad ad-Din Zengi, the Atabeg of Mosul, captured Edessa, marking the first major Crusader loss. Zengi had risen to power by uniting various Muslim territories in Syria and northern Iraq through military strength, political marriages, and ruthless tactics. The fall of Edessa was a major turning point, proving that the Crusader states were vulnerable and could be defeated. The fall of Edessa shocked Europe. Pope Eugene III called for a second crusade. Led by King Louis VII of France and Emperor Conrad III of Germany, the campaign was plagued by poor planning, disease, and infighting. Their main target became Damascus, one of the most powerful and wealthy Muslim cities in the region. At that time, Damascus was controlled by the Burid dynasty under Mu'in ad-Din Unur, operating as an independent emirate, though nominally part of the Seljuk Empire. The city had previously allied with the Crusaders, but was now a strategic prize. The Crusaders believed capturing Damascus would strengthen their position and protect the remaining Crusader states. Meanwhile, Aleppo, a key city in northern Syria, was under the control of the Seljuk rulers of the city, often shifting between different Atabegs. It served as a strategic stronghold and played a critical role in rallying Muslim forces against the Crusaders. However, attacking Damascus backfired. After a failed siege, the Crusaders were forced to retreat. The Second Crusade ended in failure. A new Muslim leader emerged, Salah ad-Din, known in the West as Saladin. Born in 1137 in Tikrit, Iraq, Saladin rose through the ranks, serving under his uncle Shirkuh, a general of the Zengi dynasty. After Shirkuh's death, Saladin became vizier of Egypt in 1169, under the weakening Fatimid Caliphate. Clever and ambitious, he soon took control, ending the Fatimid dynasty and establishing himself as the ruler of Egypt. Over the next decade, Saladin expanded his power, uniting Egypt, Syria, and parts of Iraq. By 1187, he was ready to strike, becoming the most powerful Muslim leader in the region. During this period, Saladin engaged in a complex relationship with the Crusader states. At times, he negotiated truces and trade agreements to secure his borders and strengthen his position. One of the most notable was a truce in 1185 with the Kingdom of Jerusalem, then ruled by King Baldwin IV, known as the Leper King. The agreement allowed Christian pilgrims access to holy sites while ensuring a temporary peace between Saladin and the Crusaders. However, tensions remained. Saladin continued to consolidate power, expanding his territories and preparing for the inevitable clash. The fragile peace was shattered when Crusader Lord Reynald of Chatillon violated the truce by attacking Muslim caravans. Saladin launched a major campaign. At the Battle of Hattin, Saladin crushed the Crusader forces and captured the True Cross. The battle involved around 20,000 Muslim soldiers against 15,000 Crusaders and lasted most of the day on July 4, 1187, near the Horns of Hattin. Saladin also captured King Guy of Lusigny and several high-ranking Crusader leaders. Reynald of Chatillon was executed by Saladin himself for breaking the truce. He then moved to Jerusalem. After a short but tense siege, the city surrendered in October 1187. At the time, there were around 60,000 Christians living in the city. Unlike the Crusaders' brutal massacre nearly a century earlier, Saladin negotiated a peaceful surrender. He promised safe passage for Christians who could pay a ransom and ensured the protection of Christian holy sites. Saladin's terms were fair. Even those who couldn't pay were eventually freed or ransomed by others. Many Christian refugees were escorted safely out of the city. His mercy stood in stark contrast to the horrors committed by the Crusaders when they first took Jerusalem in 1099. The loss of Jerusalem sent shockwaves across Europe. News of the fall devastated Christian kingdoms and the Church, igniting a renewed sense of urgency and religious duty. The Pope called for the Third Crusade, known as the King's Crusade, led by Richard the Lionheart of England, Philip II of France, and Emperor Frederick Barbarossa. Frederick tragically drowned on the way, and Philip abandoned the campaign early, returning home. This left Richard to face Saladin largely alone. Richard marched down the coast, winning significant battles like the capture of Acre and the victory at Acre. His bravery and leadership earned him fame, but Jerusalem remained out of reach. After months of hard campaigning and unable to break Saladin's defenses, Richard negotiated a truce. The agreement allowed Christian pilgrims safe passage to Jerusalem, though it stayed under Muslim control. Several more crusades followed, but none achieved lasting success. The Fourth Crusade was diverted and ended up sacking Constantinople in 1204, a Christian city. In 1248, Louis IX of France led the Seventh Crusade, targeting Egypt. It failed, and Louis was captured. By 1291, the last Crusader stronghold, Acre, fell to Muslim forces. After 2 centuries of bloodshed, the Crusades came to an end. The fall of Acre in 1291 marked the final collapse of Crusader rule in the Holy Land. Christian forces were pushed out, and Muslim powers reclaimed the territories. Europe was left exhausted and deeply changed. Despite repeated calls for new crusades, none would succeed again. What began as a holy mission ended in bitter failure, leaving a lasting impact on Christian-Muslim relations and shaping the medieval world for generations to come. The Crusades changed the world, shaping borders, religions, and relationships that still echo today. The legacy of the Crusades remains, a story of faith, power, and the brutal cost of war. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through history, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from the past. Join us next time as we uncover more forgotten chapters of our shared history.